processes relating to the transition of 2 presidents in this country. And I did it successfully under immense pressure. I never lost my composure. I never lost my comportment. And it's because I have a very high self-awareness. And for as long as I'm following the rule of law, it really doesn't matter. I applied knowing that IEBC is one of the most vilified institutions in this country, either as by way of perception or whether it's real, whether the things that IEBC is accused of are true or not true. I can't sit here and say that this is what they did wrong, but I know that I'm able to take pressure, and I know that I have very high emotional intelligence. I know that I'm able to be a unifying factor in the commission. I'm able to reach out because I believe that sometimes what we've seen is there is a lot of problems even at party nomination levels before it comes to the IEBC. And when there is trouble at the nomination level, it is likely to show up at the electoral levels. So my thinking is that constant engagement with the political parties and other players is very important so that there is no suspicion. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of restoring public trust in the IEBC, because this is our country and this is our institution. And we need to get to a level where we're able to trust outcomes. I remember in 2017, the Judiciary Committee on Elections visited one jurisdiction, it was Ghana, to see how they do their electoral dispute resolution. That year we had the previous year we had 388 election disputes in the judiciary. In Ghana, they only had 7. Reason? The trust that they have in the electoral body. And my vision is to see an IEBC like that in this country, where an election can happen and people feel that, yes, I lost, but I lost fairly. We need to deal with the party discipline first. There are times when we all know in this nation that for the so-called stronghold areas, once you have the party ticket, then you're as good as elected. Voter education remains so important because the people who fight, the people who are used to cause violence, are the same voters. So my view is that as the IEBC does voter education, it's important to extend it to civic education so that it's not just voter education. We've also placed a very high premium on the presidential election because ordinarily you'll find that a lot of the other positions are not so hotly contested as the top position. When we talk about technology, the challenge I see is that very few people understand it, how it works. Is there a way through which the IEBC can engage all the stakeholders in looking at what they want in terms of specifications for the digital systems? How do they want it to work? What should it look like? Because when we have very few people who understand the system and the rest of the population doesn't, because the law says that the process should be simple, accurate, verifiable, and all that. But if it's not understood, then it's very difficult to deal with the aspect of suspicion. So my thinking is that all these processes should somehow be accessible for those who want to know, those who want to participate. They should be allowed to participate so that then at every stage, people know what is going on and people know what to expect. When there is any kind of mystery, any kind of we don't know what is going on, then we are likely to continue on that trajectory. So what I'll try to do is just be more open. I'll try to be more engaging with stakeholders at every stage and also communicate strategy on need basis so that questions are answered before, so that we are proactive and not reacting to complaints that are being raised. And this panel has a very key role in ensuring that you also just give this nation a team that is going to help us achieve that. It's not an easy thing, but I know that it is doable, because if we get it right from this panel, then you're likely to get it right at the critical moment. Thank you, Chair.
You just talked of public trust, and Iebc is one of the institutions that has one of the lowest public trust, depending on which side of the political divide you are in. It is this very same Iebc that we have seen chairs declaring results surrounded by policemen without fellow commissioners. Sorry for that. Without fellow commissioners. You have just told us about how you have overseen two presidential succession with immense pressure at hand. This one is even going to have even more immense pressure. And the country is looking, as you correctly say, can we get it right this time? What does Anne Amadi bring in terms of leadership, in terms of courage, in terms of integrity? Because people die. We know of very key officials who died in unexplained circumstances up to today. It will be high voltage. What does Anne Amadi bring that people can look and say, this time round, as you correctly say, we can have an election in which the loser says that all is right, or in which the Supreme Court does not nullify, or in which the Supreme Court listens but doesn't say that irrespective of this and this and this should have been done this way. But because of the security of the nation, we need it.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, you had earlier asked just to compare with what we had done in the judiciary. And remember, when I went to the judiciary in 2014, there was a lot of anxiety and a lot of noise, which I was able to calm. There was a lot of integrity issues which are in the public domain, and which we were able to manage and reduce significantly. If you look at for example, the audit queries we had back then, over 50. By the time I left, we were getting only 5 audit queries, which could be explained. So I bring that, the issue of following the law, keeping people informed, being open, being transparent, and just ensuring that you're moving along with everybody. The issue of pressure, the high pressure, I thought about it, and I'm a very courageous person. I don't look it, but I am. And I believe that if I am able to demonstrate that what has been done is the right thing, it shouldn't matter where the pressure comes from. It shouldn't matter. We have to keep at it, because if we don't sacrifice to occupy that space, then who is it that should? So I've thought about all that, and with my patriotism, I am ready for any eventuality. should it happen in the way that you have described. It's very scary, but doable, and I'm ready for it, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
So where do you draw your strength from?
I draw my strength, first of all, I'm a believer, and I always know that if I'm doing the right thing, then I'm guided from high up. I draw my strength from sticking to the truth, what is true, because the truth can never become a lie, and lies can never become true. I draw my strength from my self-awareness. I know how far I'm able to go, and I know where I cannot go. So that is where my strength comes from. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I'll move to FCPA Tanui to ask further questions.
Thank you, Chair. And Honorable Amadi, I heard you mention about Ghana, how they have been able to hold successful elections. And I would wish that should you be given this position, you also do a benchmarking. I think in the same Ghana, there are other electoral commissions where the chairperson of the commission has been given executive powers. They are also accounting officer.
Okay.
Reason being that, and you'll note from our country, there have always been an issue of the roles between the chair and the accounting officer. So there are successful commissions that have actually given those roles.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you.
So just for your information.
Thank you.
Now, a follow-up question on what Professor Olo has put it is on how would you handle conflicts? You will appreciate that IBC, there are many actors or stakeholders who would want to control the operations of IBC. You go to Treasury, they don't give them adequate funding, they delay the funding, it affects their processes. There are other stakeholders who tell them they have no powers to make regulations, despite the fact that they are an independent commission. So there are also cases, and this has been reported in the past, where even staff members of the commission were being alleged that they took partisan roles in the election process. So if you get this position as a chair, how will you work around using your leadership skills and your experience to ensure that all these stakeholders are brought together and that the commission achieves its mandate? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just give an example of what happened in the run-up to the 2022 elections. There is a framework that was put together which was called multi-agency team, or something like that, that brought together all the agencies. There was judiciary, there was police, there was treasury, there was Ministry of Interior and IEBC. Basically for purposes of just seeing how the IEBC could be supported to be able to conduct a successful election in 2022. And they had several meetings where the IEBC, outside of the normal framework, was able to indicate the kind of support that they needed, the kind of timelines within which they had to do what they needed to do. And there were certain commitments that were made by the various agencies. But I know that at some point, again, IEBC stepped out of that framework for some reason. I think it was a good initiative that can still be tried. The reasons as to why IEBC stepped out of that framework are not so clear to me at this point in time. But I've always believed that when things are done in a consultative way, through a cooperative framework, they tend to just work better in terms of people understanding that this support needs to be given so as to avoid delays, so as to hinder the processes of the commission. On the issue of staff playing partisan roles in the electoral process. That's very unfortunate. I think you have to be able to disrupt certain formations within the commission. There's a way in which staff can be taken through. They can be taken through processes that can help their mindsets. But again, it shouldn't be too. Certain administrative interventions can be made to make sure that it's difficult for staff to do to carry out their activities, their duties in a partisan manner. For example, if someone was expecting to go and oversee the elections in Nakuru and last minute they're taken to Kajiado, then they will maybe not be able to do what they had planned to do. So there are certain administrative interventions that can be put in place to just make sure that we minimize on the mischief, if any has been planned. But I'm sure with a team we'll be able to discuss and just see what else is possible to be done so that people are just following the regulations, the rules. I know what we did in the judiciary for most of the things, because when I went there, I found that there were no standard operating procedures, there were no manuals. So we had to prepare a lot of manuals that everybody had to stick to. Everyone had to stick to, so that then everything is done in the correct manner. Again, technology can help, because when the system is secure, then there's some of the mischief that can be prevented from taking place, even if the human nature wanted to, interfere with the process.
Lastly, and related to the multi-agency team, which I think I attended one of the meetings at Safari Park.
Yes.
If in that process of having a multi-agency team, some stakeholders, you observe that some stakeholders could be pushing for an agenda that is contrary to the mandate of IEBC, what would you do?
The IEBC would have no choice but to stick to what is right. And maybe if the agenda is then contrary to the principles that IEBC is expected to follow, then maybe that is the reason that what happened last time did happen. It might get to a level where you have to step out if it is not serving the interests of the nation, if it is not serving the interests and the objectives of the commission. Yeah.
Thank you very much. The media might just call you the disruptor of IEBC if you got this position. And so thank you for those answers. I want to ask Professor to ask you some questions.
Okay.
Madam Anna Madi, I see from your CV that you have also done a lot in FIDA and gender-related matters.
Yes.
And therefore, I believe that globally you follow advancement of women issues and gender issues. So my first question to you on that is, which African country recently elected its first female president?
I see her. Namibia.
Okay, proceed.
The Senate represents counties, and we have 47 counties, but we also, in terms of the number of senators, we have 67. How do you explain the extra 20 as per the Constitution and elections? I IEBC and Elections Act?
The extra 20. Those would be the special seats for women, for persons with disabilities, for the marginalized, those special interest groups. And they come in through party lists which are submitted to the IEBC, and those party lists cannot be changed, they're final. And so the parties are assigned the nominated seats based on a pro rata basis. So that is how the 20 come in. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Madam Ahmadi, you are aware that by law we are required to ask for public participation.
Yes.
On the candidates that we shortlist, but also to do some due diligence around them.
True.
One of this matter that has been brought to your attention is a matter through a memorandum dated 19th of March 2025 by an individual who says that he's a citizen of Kenya, and he claims in his memoranda the following. Alleges that during your tenure as the registrar to the judiciary and also as secretary to the Judicial Service Commission, you failed to comply with express court orders and or the directions in matters in which the commission was directly involved. So the rule of law. Number B, the petitioner claims that in the case petition 34 of 2014, in which JSC was directed to publicize procedures for all its, let me just use my glasses, for all its disciplinary and investigative processes within 90 days of the judgment. He claims that you did not comply with that judgment. C, the petitioner cites the case of the Republic versus Salaries and Remuneration Commission and two others, civil application number 58 of 2020, in which the court ordered payment of backdated salaries to the judges to be refunded, which you disobeyed. Number D, he says that maybe I should ask the Vice Chair to pick up number D and E kindly, just to clarify and put the questions to you.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a continuation, Honorable Ahmadi.
Yes.
The memorandum also states that it was alleged that you should not take a lead role in IEBC, now given your past work record according to his memoranda.
Yes.
And also that he requests the panel to indulge you on how during your tenure you assisted the judiciary in handling rampant corruption complaints within the judiciary. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chair. I saw the petition last night, so I didn't have an opportunity to engage with it thoroughly and to give a comprehensive response. But nonetheless, I will say this, that the decision that whoever the complainant is talking about related to judges' salaries. Salaries of judges are not paid by the judiciary. They are a direct charge to the consolidated fund. So that when a decision like that is made, then my role is to communicate to the National Treasury for effect, which I did. And if I had had an opportunity, then I would have found a way of getting the material to respond. But I did comply, and so it is the executive that pays the judges directly. The chief registrar only pays the magistrates and the staff. So the rule of law was followed. Then the one on...
So did you advise the
National Treasury?
Yes.
Yes, we did advise the National Treasury, and I think the SRC as well, because it had a huge budgetary implication. Then the one that, what is it? The one on corruption cases, I think I had responded partly when panelist Bor, sorry, I hope that I got the name right, asked me about my case. We had a very comprehensive framework for dealing with cases of this nature. We even had cases where, I'll give an example of a case where a magistrate was actually arrested and charged for corruption. And the case went on and she was acquitted, but the JAC still let her go, because JAC was of the view that yes, the court has acquitted you, but from the evidence that we have, we can see that there is clear misconduct. So it is not correct that we did not deal with corruption cases. There was a day that we lost 5 magistrates in one day for these kinds of malpractices. So it is not correct that we did not handle those cases. We did. The challenge, as I said earlier, is that a lot of allegations are made with very little evidence, if any. So when there is no evidence, then it's a bit difficult to deal with it conclusively. You can deal with it by way of engaging the individual, but where there is evidence, the Commission has been very strict in addressing this issue. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. We apologize that you got this last night. The memoranda came to us on the 19th, which is a few days ago. If you can be able to help the Secretariat with some of that material you have mentioned, just to be able to confirm your response.
Yes, I will try, because I'm not in the judiciary anymore. So it means asking someone to help me retrieve that. I will make the attempt nonetheless. And maybe you can give me the timeline within which that should be done, so that if I'm able to get the material, then I'll be able to respond more comprehensively.
Do that in the course of this week.
Okay.
Yeah, today's Monday, so if you do that by Friday, it will be okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes. Allow me to thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And to just say that we have enjoyed interacting with you. We have learned a lot about your work in the past, the judiciary, your work with FIDA, your community engagement, and we are grateful to the responses you have given to us. I'd like to ask you if you have any question for us, so that we can be able to respond if at all.
Mine is just to wish you well. It's a challenging process, very daunting, but you have what it takes. So I just want to wish you well and to thank you so much for having me. May God bless you.
Thank you very much. You have a bottle of water before you. Feel free to take it with you. Ensure that you have your certificates and your documents so that you don't leave them with us. And if there's anything else that we can do, the Secretariat will be at hand to attend to you. Otherwise, these members have enjoyed interacting with you.
Thank you very much.
And we wish you well.
Thank you.
Asante. Shukran. Yes, notebook. You can take your notebook. Thank you. So media, I can see some of you very keen fixing your camera on our documents. The documents are not for public consumption. So please take some judicial control so that we are not exposing them to the public. It's the interview, not the documents. At this point, I want to ask you to, again, give us some time. Please, we thank you for doing this for us. Give us some time so that we can finish our processes together. Please do so quickly. So turn off, please turn off. Don't leave your mics on. just turn off your cameras, your mics,